Less than 3 weeks away from opening day for the regular season, but still spring training baseball coming your way from the Suncoast of Florida. Bradenton and Lee-Com Park, where today the Pittsburgh Pirates host the Toronto Blue Jays live on site from the Friendly City. Greg Brown and Bob Walk on the other side of the glass here with us in the broadcast booth at Lee-Com Park. And Bob, as we take a look at today's action, we continue to look at the evolving competition with center field. Right now, Brian Goodwin, Dustin Fowler involved, Anthony Alford, who had a real good game yesterday. You like all three. They kind of all three bring something different to the table.
Well, they do. It depends on what you want in center field this year. If you want like the highest ceiling guy, a guy that maybe is going to be an impact type player someday, well, then I think you're going to have to go with Alford. I mean, he's got such tools. He's big, he's strong, he's got speed, he's got the arm, he can play the defense. He can do a little everything. Goodwin, for instance, you know what he is. He's been around. He's been in this league for a while. He's a solid outfielder, but the ceiling is not going to be as high. So it's going to come down to that. It's going to come down to what they're looking for out of their center fielder, and then they'll say who's played well, and they'll make their decision.
Still decision based on the shortstop position. Now, we know that Kevin Newman, we know what he has done. We know what Eric Gonzalez can do. They both spent time in the big leagues. Cole Tucker has been behind the 8-ball because of a bruised thumb. Our AHN injury update. He's back in the lineup for the first time since the 1st of this month.
Well, he's got to feel a little pressure right now, I would think, because now he's got to compress his bid to be the shortstop in a small amount of time. The injury to his thumb couldn't come at a worse time for Tucker.
Cole Tucker will be out there starting at shortstop today. We'll bring you the rest of the starting 9 of this spring training tilt from Bradenton, Florida. Coming up, it's the Pirates and the Toronto Blue Jays.
Spring Training Baseball on AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by the law firm of Bordas & Bordas, official legal partner of the Pittsburgh Pirates. By Barrel Ford. With Barrel Ford Fast Pass, buy your next car online and on your terms. And by AHN, official medical provider of the Pittsburgh Pirates and fans like you. Let's go Bucks!
And welcome back. Here we are getting ready for spring training baseball. The Pirates and the Toronto Blue Jays. They made their way down from Dunedin, about a little over an hour's drive north of here along the Sun Coast. So some Blue Jays fans on hand for this spring training game. Both clubs have won 6 of their first 11. The Pirates playing 29 Grapefruit League games. And we get a chance to see Chase DeYoung get a start today for the Pirates, a non-roster invitee and a former Blue Jays prospect. Take a look at the umpiring crew there, with Chad Fairchild calling the balls and strikes. Marty Foster, Vic Carapazza, and Ryan Addison the others. And here is the Blue Jays lineup under Charlie Montoyo. And the Canadian flag there off to the side. Jonathan Davis will lead things off. Lourdes Gurriel will follow. Then it's Rowdy Tellez at first. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is at third base. Danny Jansen behind the plate. The former Giant Joe Panik at second. Santiago Espinal, the shortstop, with Josh Palacios at right. And Tyler White, the designated hitter. Those averages from spring training. And Chase DeYoung's second appearance, his first spring training start for the Pirates.
First appearance, he was able to go out there and finish a couple of innings. This is his first start, and just want to take a look at him and see what he can do at the beginning of a ball game. So, an opportunity for him to impress.
Those career numbers.
What spring training is about. Sometimes guys get a chance to start a game that they weren't expecting. They can do well.
On to defense. That goes for Cole Tucker. He's at short. Wilmer Defoe is at second. Rodolfo Castro, Colin Moran on the corners, Brian Goodwin, Dustin Fowler, Jared Oliva in the outfield left to right, and Michael Perez behind the plate. Perez brought in over the winter the former Tampa Bay Ray, and it appears as though he and Tony Walters, the former Colorado Rocky, are vying for the backup catcher spot behind starter Jacob Stallings.
The Pirates are trying to build as much pitching depth as possible, because you know how many innings people are going to be able to throw this year is really going to be up in the air. So they're trying to really get a handle on anybody that could be a starting pitcher. You know, what are they like? What do they have to offer?
A little bit. That means he can fly. Okay. That means he got booster.
And a first pitch strike. We are underway with Anthony Alford's brother-in-law, Jonathan Davis, at the plate. Alford not in the starting lineup today. They played together briefly with the Blue Jays. Jonathan Davis, 5 for 11 this spring. Played in 13 games for the Jays last year. Chase DeYoung.
How about the game that Alford had yesterday?
That was impressive. You just talked about it. Looking to impress. Yeah. He did.
He is taking his opportunity by the horn so far.
And a fly ball to left, sending Goodwin back. Fighting that sun, and he'll make the catch. One down. Brian Goodwin, the veteran outfielder. And just because a guy doesn't win the starting center field job doesn't mean he won't be around to be an extra outfielder, because Goodwin can play all 3 outfield positions. Dustin Fowler, Jared Oliva for that matter.
And vice versa. Just because a guy does land it doesn't mean he'll be the starting center fielder on June 1st.
Yep.
So it will be a season like that will be evolved. Different positions will change. Guys will come in and out of that starting rotation. And especially the pitchers. You know they're going to try and manage innings.
It is the great unknown for
the young
this year.
Guys.
The great equalizer, perhaps. How teams will handle pitching staffs. Will pitchers be shut down as they approach a certain amount of innings? How many will end up hurt? That's inevitable, by the way. Injuries.
They're going to have to watch, guys. I mean, there's certain things that I guess you would pick up on, like let's see, somebody's been, the fastball's been averaging 94 all year, and then he's got 2 starts where it averages 92. And maybe that guy's right away you think, okay, we got to give him a rest.
Rodolfo Castro, look at this wind here in Bradenton, and he stuck with it. Well done.
Very nice job. A little bit of a breeze, not too hard, but it's blowing in. So it's pushing that ball right there toward the stands, but then the spin of the ball as it's coming down is going to make the ball work back toward fair territory.
Another look, staying with it, Rodolfo Castro making the play. Well done. Big first baseman Rowdy Tellez. 5 out of 16 this spring at 8 homers last year. The Pirates overshift, and he shows bunt. Whether he really meant it, doubt it, but did draw the attention of Castro, who currently is at the shortstop position, and you see him backpedaling now back. See the defenders for the Pirates. Chase DeYoung getting a start. And a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Tellez, a 30th round pick by the Jays in 2013. He's become a dangerous hitter. 1-ball, 1-strike the count. Just underway. Fastball from DeYoung, not bad, 94. No relation to the Cardinal shortstop Paul DeYoung. Chase DeYoung, a 2nd-round pick of these Blue Jays 9 years ago. And bounce to the right side. There's Cole Tucker, the shortstop, on to first, and good work from Chase DeYoung. 1, 2, 3. And the Pirates will be coming to bat. We'll see Dustin Fowler, Cole Tucker, and Colin Moran. Nothing. The Pirates are coming to bat now. The bottom of the 1st inning here in the Friendly City. Pirates lineup. They're managed by Derek Shelton and Dustin Fowler. We talked about him in our open. We also talked about Cole Tucker. Colin Moran is at first base. Todd Frazier's had a nice spring. The veteran is the DH today with Brian Goodwin in left. Wilmer Defoe is the second baseman with Michael Perez catching. Jared Oliva is in right field, and Rodolfo Castro starts at third base. Switch hitting infielder. And here's Thomas Hatch.
Hatch making, I think it's his second start of the spring. Pitched mainly out of the bullpen last year.
Dustin Fowler 2 for 8. And takes ball 1.
Interesting matchup, Fowler and Hatch.
Yeah. Two balls, no strikes. And here's the 2-0 pitch. Fowler with Oakland in 2018 hit .224 with 6 homers in limited play. A one-time Yankee prospect. And it goes to 3-1. Pirates acquired Dustin Fowler, again part of that outfield competition, and he draws the walk.
Yeah, he's first, or excuse me, goes to first.
And here's Cole Tucker after the leadoff walk. Just 3 spring training at bats, and then unable to play with a bruised thumb since March the 1st. That's one thing about competition, and there his mom is here along with his girlfriend, which drew a lot of attention, Vanessa Hudgens, the musician, actress, producer.
Yeah, the injury couldn't come at a worse time for him, and he definitely was one of the guys that was getting a lot of early press about being in the hunt for the shortstop's position. But he's got to get it going in a hurry now.
Yeah, all of a sudden the clock for a guy like Tucker speeds up with missing the first couple of weeks for all intents and purposes. Played a lot of outfield last year just to get him some at bats. And sends this one a long way, but looks as though Gurriel is going to track it down. He does.
Hit it well. But nice if he could have sliced that down in the corner for extra bases.
Another look.
Yeah, got the head of the bat to it and gave it a little bit of a ride out there. They're playing him kind of cheap in left field. Tucker not known for opposite field power, but drove him back to the edge of the grass.
His mom and his girlfriend. Almost.
You know, everybody with shortstop next to their name's got to feel a little anxious this year because there are so many shortstops in the organization with, you know, good potential.
Yeah.
I mean, from the guys that are going to be in the big leagues all the way down.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to throw to first, and Fowler is back.
The pipeline for shortstops is full. And there's going to be some guys that, if they hit, will have to change positions.
And of course, there's a many figure, a shortstop of the future in the system now after the trade. And runner Fowler taking off, but fouled off. Starling Marte dealt a little over a year ago to the Arizona Diamondbacks for a couple of players, the pitcher Brendan Malone and the 20-year-old from the Dominican, Leober Peguero. Many people figure that Peguero in the not too distant future will be anchoring that shortstop position for the Pirates.
We haven't heard anybody not rave about his abilities.
So it's 2 balls and a strike with 1 out. Colin Moran. Todd Frazier is on deck, and boy, I hope you had a chance to watch the telecast yesterday. We've been fortunate the last week or so to mic up Jacob Stallings and Todd Frazier. Runner goes. Fowler will have a stolen base, and then will take off and reach third. So trying to impress. That will impress.
Yeah, with a couple of outs, get yourself in scoring position, and with the error, goes all the way to third. And as you pointed out, it's not necessarily all about who's going to start in center field. It's about making that big league roster, period. You need more than just 3 outfielders.
At 3-1, the infield will come in, and 3 infielders on the right side.
Oh, excuse me, 1 out. I said there's 2 outs. I apologize for that.
By the way, this is a 7.5 inning game scheduled today.
We haven't had one of those in a while. We've been playing 9
yeah.
and a little bit of string doing that.
There's Todd Frazier. In a moment, we'll let you hear some of what Frazier said on the live mic yesterday. Here it is. Mic'd up yesterday.
Man, good to hear you. Hey, guys. Ah, there it is again. Money right there. That a baby. What's up, baby? What's up, baby? How you doing, bro? Baby. What's up, big daddy? He had me there. What's up, guys? How we doing, all right? I don't know Ramon. I don't know if he speaks. If he don't speak English, I'm in trouble. Let me see if I can get a little Spanish. ¿Cómo está? Sí. Está bien. Tranquilo. Atta boy. Finish it up. Thanks, guys.
Oh my gosh, we'll have some more from his at bat yesterday, where he ended up getting. I mean, he took John and Joe through the at bat, John Wayner, and talked about what he was looking for against Felix Hernandez. Absolutely fascinating. And well, I know there are a lot of fans, players around baseball who've gotten to know Todd Frazier. He's played for a few teams now, came up as a member of the Cincinnati Reds, but we are getting our first chance to really get to know him, and he is extremely likable and such a pro. And again, our audience yesterday got a chance to share in that.
He has to make the team on his baseball abilities, but if that happens and he is on the club this year, which I think he will be, you get the you get the bonus of his character. He's a high character guy, so it's going to be good.
Yeah, came up as a Red on the All-Star team a couple of times, and then last year played for both the Rangers and the Mets. One-time Yankee, 1.5 years for the White Sox. Whoa, pickoff try, and Fowler will score on the errant throw from the pitcher, and the Pirates take a 1-0 lead.
They should outlaw that play.
Well, if they were in the minor leagues, it's going to happen in 2021 in some levels of the minors.
They got a little tricky. Now, he had to throw this ball. I mean, that rule changed a few years ago that you can only fake to second. You can't fake to third. So even if he didn't feel comfortable, he still had to complete the throw to third base. And just maybe an experiment for spring training, and it didn't pan out for him.
Fastball fouled away by Todd Frazier. 1-0. Couple of errors in the inning. The catcher Jansen, and now the pitcher Hatch. And even now, 96 miles an hour. Charlie Montoyo got high praise, a skipper of the Toronto Blue Jays, getting an opportunity to manage in the big leagues. There had been talk for a number of years that he would end up going somewhere highly regarded. The Blue Jays last year, the truncated season, finished 32-28. And Frazier lifts one to center. Held up there a long time.
Just got underneath it a little bit. Didn't miss a home run by much there.
Second out, Brian Goodwin now.
But I sure hope that we have Frazier on the club this year. I think it'd be with the younger players.
Yeah.
Really a perfect guy to have in that clubhouse, in the dugout. Good guy to watch, just kind of lead by example about how to go about your business and be nice to everybody. Hey, what's up? Hey, how you doing?
Baby. How you doing, baby? Hey, baby.
I think I heard.
How you doing, baby?
Was there a big dog in there somewhere too?
Might have been big guy. Hey, baby. Brian Goodwin, a count of 1-0. 2-0 on Goodwin. 2 for 11. Hit a grand slam in Tampa the other night with the Angels and Reds last year. 30-year-old from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, former draft pick of the Washington Nationals. 96, 95 from Thomas Hatch.
Hey, Goodwin's got some good major league experience. I mean, he's one of those guys who's got a track record so you can look back on, and so you know pretty much what you're going to get from him when the season starts.
And you think, Bob, about the only time in his career that he's gotten significant playing time was 2 years ago with the Angels. 413 at bats in 136 games. He hit .262 and hit 17 homers. Drove in 47 runs and OPS nearly 800 for the Angels in 2019.
Yeah, those pretty solid.
And pulls this ball foul. 2-2 with 2 outs to Brian Goodwin. Pirates signed him to a minor league free agent deal on February the 11th.
He's wearing number 18. Nice veteran number.
Now, does that usually mean anything at all?
It used to.
You look into it at all? No. And a half-hearted swing and miss there. Fold a little bit.
It's all about status.
Yeah.
He's got veteran status is what that means.
Pirates get one and lead 1-0 after 1.
Lead at Lecom Park over Toronto. I'm Robbie and Smikowski. Well, the Pirates just moments ago announced the signing and a potential starter in their rotation in the form of a veteran journeyman pitcher. Trevor Cahill was signed to a one-year deal, and that's the subject of this afternoon's Shealy scouting report. Trevor Cahill signed to the one-year contract. Last year pitched with the San Francisco Giants both as a starter and as a reliever. You get a look at his pitch usage, and he has a career ERA of just above 4.5. He's been in the league a long time, over a decade. He was an all-star back in 2010. The Pirates are going to be the 9th team that Cahill has played for in his Major League Baseball career. So we'll see where he fits into the rotation, Greg and Bob. And in a corresponding move, the Buccos, sounds a little bit concerning on the surface. Blake Cederlin was placed on the 60-day injured list with an injury to his right elbow, a UCL strain. That happened during Wednesday night's game in Tampa against the Yankees. And right now, Blake and the team are discussing the best course of action to treat this injury. So Trevor Cahill signed, Blake Cederlin placed on the injured list.
Okay, Robbie, thank you. As Vladimir Guerrero Jr. steps in, and it's a 2-0 count. So Cahill, the veteran, joins the Pirates. We just got done talking about the great unknown of 2021 during the regular season. How many pitchers will be going down either by injury or forced out of competition based on innings pitched to save them from too many innings. And then you've got a guy like Blake Cederland, which is terrible news for him, of course. I mean, that is a UCL strain. That's not good. A 60-day injured list. There's a ball 4 to Guerrero. 4-pitch walk.
Yeah, that's something that might cost him a year and a half.
Yeah,
maybe. I mean, they have to wait.
Don't know yet.
They have to wait and see how it responds to.
But they know something's awfully wrong with 60-day right away. It's not good. This is what teams are going to have
even
to
if
deal
they
with.
just prescribe rest, it's going to be 3 months off.
Yeah.
See if it would heal itself. But nowadays they usually go to work.
So Danny Jansen now faces Chase DeYoung, first base runner for Toronto. The catcher at the plate. And Trevor Cahill's second year in the big leagues with Oakland in 2010 went 18-8 with a 2.97 ERA. Three straight years over 195 innings. Last year Cahill pitched for the Giants, finished with a 3.24 ERA for San Francisco last season. And now 2-1 on Danny Jansen.
Jay.
Pirates Chase DeYoung on the mound. JT Brubaker will pitch tomorrow afternoon in Tampa against the Yankees. There is Pirates GM Ben Cherington.
Yeah, it's another thing that's going to make it tough on Pirate extra players. As you know, they're going to want to take as many pitchers as they can on that roster. So that makes it tough to snag extra jobs sitting on the bench.
Yeah. Long Beach, California native Chase DeYoung. And caught by Tucker on the first for a double play.
Yeah, very nice. Tell you what, that's a great feeling for the pitcher. You give up a bullet off the bat, and the next moment you realize you just got 2 outs.
When you put the ball in play, doesn't mean automatically going to have hits.
No,
right?
it's where you hit the ball, not how hard sometimes, and that's the case here. Tucker turned it into 2 outs quickly.
One ball, no strikes on Joe Panic. Former Giant. Hit .225 last year with the Jays. Chase DeYoung, a second-round pick of Toronto in 2012. They dealt him to the Dodgers 3 years later. He spent time in the Mariners organization, on to the Twins. Even played some independent ball. There's a fly ball toward right, and the catch is made by Jared Oliva. So a couple of scoreless innings for Chase DeYoung. As Oliva looks toward the sky, the Bucks have a 1-0 lead heading to the bottom of the second. Excited to welcome fans back. Reduced capacity to PNC Park starting the home opener against the Cubs on April the 8th. Tickets for all games through May the 2nd will go on sale this Wednesday at 10 a.m. Full health and safety measures will be announced soon. Go to pirates.com/tickets. Welcome back to the ballpark. It was a year ago today. The Pirates, ironically enough, were playing these Blue Jays right here, and it was the last game that would be played for quite a while. As Wilmer Defoe steps in. And a pop-up. Left field. Gurriel. Quickly one out in the home half of the second. It's a Defoe, then Michael Perez and Jared Oliva. Check the card. Perez, a lefty hitter.
Looks like you know, there definitely will be a left-hand hitting backup catcher this year.
Walters or Perez.
I wonder, you know, how the playing time will be, if maybe because there's a left-hand hitting backup catcher, and either whoever it's going to be is going to be very good on defense. It's not going to, no way it's going to be a platoon, but I wonder if they would lean that way a little bit more. You know, maybe do it like a 60-40 type split on the tougher right-hand pitchers.
And bounced out to shallow right. Panic. Perez is the second out. And now we'll see Jared Oliva.
But Stallings, he just hammers left-handed pitching, but at times he struggles a little bit against some of the right-handers. And you would think that you could perhaps, you know, find some innings for the right-hand hitting, or excuse me, a left-hand hitting catcher. There's a backup guy, and they're both highly regarded on the defense.
They'll also have that taxi squad back carrying a
yeah,
you would think has to be a catcher.
Yeah, and so all three of those guys, I would imagine, would go north.
Yeah,
one's a backup, one's a taxi squad guy. Although, do you want your taxi squad guy to be getting some regular bats somewhere? That's an interesting question. The taxi guy is kind of an emergency catcher. Is that the way you look at it?
Well, it's interesting because at least when the season starts on April the 1st, that's when the minor leagues begin. And I would think you'd want guys that have been hitting regularly in camp as part of your taxi squad initially. But I hear what you're saying. Like maybe as the season goes on, the guy's not getting at bats. Yeah. Send them to the minor leagues. But at the outset, I would think all three would travel with the team. Jared Oliva goes down on strikes. 1, 2, 3. And we move along to the third. 1-0 Pirate.
Longboat Key. Real. Authentic. Florida. And by Sheely's. Furniture, appliances, mattresses. The best things in life happen at home. Let's go Bucks!
Pirates are leading 1-0. Exhibition baseball here from Bradenton, Florida. Another lovely day on the Sun Coast. 79 degrees at game time. Buccos scoring an unearned run in the first. Now to the third. Chase DeYoung getting a start here. Well-traveled 27-year-old. Delivers to Santiago Espinal, the shortstop. Bottom third of the order.
Whoa. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
So, whoa.
One and one. And he comes back after pitching up and in. Delivers the breaking ball down and away and gets Espinal to swing weakly at it. DeYoung has appeared in 15 major league games and parts of 4 major league seasons. 10 starts overall with the Mariners, Twins, and Houston Astros. The Astros signed him out of the independent Atlantic League team, the Sugarland Skeeters. And toward right center field. Oliva, that's going to split the gap. Espinal, an opposite field double.
Had the spin coming off to move that ball away from Fowler in center field. When the ball came off the bat, I thought he might have a shot at it, but it just kept slicing and slicing. That here it is. Watch, as it leaves the bat, it actually goes over the mound. You could kind of see from that high camera, but it ends up way over in right center. You know, we talk a lot about spin from out of the pitcher's hand. You know, that's a big topic all the time. Well, the bat puts as much spin on it as it's throwing it. And you can see the effect with the trajectory of the baseballs.
Oh, one hop smash, and what a play by Wilmer Defoe. Down to the ground, stays with it, and throws out Josh Palacios.
Yeah, that was very impressive defensive work. You got to be worried about your choppers when that ball's coming up and at that velocity. But he hangs in there and makes the out.
Wilmer Defoe, longtime Washington National utility player.
The Pirates are going to come in and try and stop the run here with one out.
It's Tyler White at the plate. The DH. One ball, one strike. Infielding all the way around. Rodolfo Castro, the Pirates' third baseman. Cole Tucker, Wilmer Defoe, Colin Moran. And now 2-1. DeYoung pitched 3 games, made 2 starts for the Astros last year. And now he falls behind the 9th man, the designated hitter, Tyler White.
He's been
3-1.
aggressive going at everybody except for this moment right here, going to 3-1. He's trying to save that run, but now he's going to have to make a decision. Pretty good control there. He put that fastball right in the outside corner with a 3-1 count. So far, he's looking good out there.
Yeah. Looks like a guy that knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's making pitches. You know, he's not an overpowering guy, but he's got a good fastball. I've seen it 94 several times.
How about that?
94 there, and more pain on the outside corner. Put the 3-1, 3-2 pitch,
Yeah.
and he stops that runner from scoring on an out by doing that.
Nice work.
2 great pitches right there. The 3-1 pitch and then come back the same thing. Boom, right on the outside corner.
And now, of course, he doesn't want to let up.
No, you've like dodged a bullet when you get that strikeout with 1 out and a guy at third.
You did such great work, but you have more work ahead of you here. The leadoff man, Jonathan Davis.
And the infield gets to, move back. And you just feel like, okay, they can't score a run by making an out now.
Davis flied out to left field to start this game. And he hits a fly ball towards center. And that's going to do it. Chase DeYoung.
What a job.
Yeah, getting an opportunity to make a start here. This non-drafted non-roster minor league free agent doing good work. Rest easy with the Pirates ticket assurance as the Pirates lead 1-0 here in Bradenton, Florida. Spring training baseball, but regular season baseball getting underway before too long, and the Pirates committed to making sure you're comfortable with any ticket investment made this season. All ticket purchases guaranteed for another game this season or next. Learn more at pirates.com/assurance. Regular season starting 3 weeks from yesterday. Pirates will take on the Cubs at Wrigley, and then a week later at home, April the 8th at PNC Park against those Cubs. Tommy Malone is the new pitcher for Toronto, and he faces Rodolfo Castro. Thomas Hatch went the first two. Rodolfo Castro, 1 hit in 12 at bats, has struck out 6 times, so seeing some of the inexperience play out for a guy the Pirates still like a lot. Prospect Rodolfo Castro, who is on the 40-man roster at the age of 22 from the Dominican Republic. But he goes down again.
Way out in front of a couple change-ups. I always think and I've said this a lot. I go back, talk about Gene Garber when I first noticed this, is young players, even the good hitting young players, seem to struggle against change-ups more than anything else. Veteran guys, your older hitters, they kind of have a little better idea about the change-up. They've seen so many of them at the major league level, but a lot of young guys, when they first get up, that change-up will give them fits, and you saw an example of that right there.
Here's Dustin Fowler. Hits this hard off the lefty, but foul up against the netting.
It's probably the pitch in the minor leagues that you definitely see the least. Not necessarily change-ups, but good change-ups. I think a lot of times, pitchers are forced to throw change-ups in the minor leagues just so they can learn the pitch. So it's not really an effective pitch for a lot of them.
Toward the line and left. That's going to drop untouched. Foul. No need for that today. Pleasant sunny skies. Dustin Fowler, the former Oakland Athletic, as is Tommy Malone. Fowler walked, stole second, went to third on a throwing error by the catcher, and he scored on an errant pickoff try by the pitcher Thomas Hatch. Cole Tucker on deck. Fowler's got a little Corey Dickerson look to him from here.
Yeah, but I can't tell what he's trying to do just by how he's holding the bat. Remember Dickerson?
Oh,
I can tell what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
Choking up.
So,
not.
no question.
He's choking up a ton. Okay, he's trying to punch a ball out there somewhere. All of a sudden, you'd see him walk up there with hanging a little finger off the bottom of the knob.
He's going for it now.
And he would surprise you. I mean, he had 20 home run power easy, but a lot of times you don't see him as that type of hitter. He could change his approach and still be effective better than, I think, any hitter I've seen.
Corey Dickerson now with the Marlins. 3-2 the count on Dustin Fowler. And pops it up. Second baseman panic. And he's going to be called off. Espinal, the shortstop. Well, Tommy Malone gets a couple outs. Faces Cole Tucker, who lined out to the warning track as a lefty hitter. His first time up, and now swings over and bats from the right side. Back in the lineup after missing 10 games with a bruised thumb.
That had to be very difficult on him to set out that long, knowing what's at stake.
Tucker hit .220 last year in 37 games.
Yeah, pretty much the everyday center fielder for quite some time there, after a while.
And never played the outfield at any level, and lo and behold, he found himself out there at the very beginning of the year. Second game of the season. And he puts a charge into that one, and it is a foul ball, but boy, old Tucker, ball jumping off his bat, a couple of ABs here.
That's one of the things that was missing last year, was that the hard hit balls, that exit velocity was very low for him last season. You'd think you'll see a change up here, wouldn't you?
Probably so.
That foul ball was 102 off the bat.
And he missed with it.
Anytime somebody pulls a ball hard like that, it's automatic, sees a changeup.
And lines this down the line and left, but foul.
I think Tucker's proven that he's right on his fastball. I mean, that wasn't a fastball. No, I'm looking at the scoreboard. It was inside. Could be a slider, breaking pitch of some sort that came in on him. But he definitely got the head of the bat to it.
We will talk to assistant hitting coach Christian Marrero on headsets a little bit later. And this is the other way, and boy, Cole Tucker, he's going to go ahead and try for second. The little stumble around first, and he is safe as he does that little swim move with the headfirst dive into second. And well, some folks in the stands like it, mainly Mom and his girlfriend Vanessa Hudgens.
Yeah, that was a very, very nice at bat. Two good at bats in a row now where he's hit the ball hard. This one didn't quite sneak through there like he wanted it, wanted it to, but it didn't matter. He forced the issue, and then with a great slide, ended up being safe. This was a nice throw from the outfield, and he needed to have kind of a little tricky slide to get that hand in there.
Well, a couple of strong at bats for Cole Tucker, and now Colin Moran. The block there by Jansen.
Tucker's hitting the ball today like a guy trying to make up for lost time.
Colin Moran, pickoff try, gets back. Espinal takes the throw from Tommy Malone. Moran facing the lefty. Walked his first time up. And a fly ball. toward right center. And the catch is made, and center fielder Davis had to stay with it.
Well, that ball had good carry.
So Tucker left stranded at second, the hustling double. He liked it. So did Vanessa Hudgens. Pirates have a 1-0 lead. Takes over for the Pirates after Chase DeYoung does really good work through his 3 innings, his first start.
Well, Greg, a guy like Stratton can be extremely valuable this year. You know, we're talking about you see DeYoung walking off after really impressive work from him, but you know, about having to cover tons of innings this year, maybe from the bullpen, maybe from the starting rotation. And Stratton is a jack of all trades type pitcher.
And this Pirates pitching change is brought to you by Sheely's Furniture, Appliances, and Mattresses. Stratton's numbers from last season. Yeah, he's definitely a guy that can pitch multiple innings out of the bullpen.
He might have the most big league starts on the team. Well, maybe not now, but not too long ago.
Lawrence Gurriel.
Anderson probably got the most now, I think.
And 41 career starts for Chris Stratton. And a ball and a strike, 94 there. Stratton's second outing. And one away. Fowler makes the easy catch. Once again, the Pirates pitching change is brought to you by Sheely's Furniture, Appliances, and Mattresses. Here's Rowdy Tellez.
That's Stratton's fastball, 95. Now, we've seen him do that at times before, but it's good to see here in spring training. He feels nice and strong already at one of his top velocities.
Toward left, Goodwin. 2 fly ball outs.
And Vlad gets up there. How about some of the shots he was hitting in batting practice today? Totally clearing easily the left field bleachers all over the top out into that parking lot. You don't see many guys hit them that far. And this one should stay in here. Moran's got a beat on it.
Makes the catch. A couple of fly balls to the outfield and a pop up in foul ground. A 6-pitch 4th inning for Chris Stratton.
We'll be talking. I like to talk, so calms me down a little bit, so it'll be good.
By yourself.
What's up, Bob? I'm mic'd up right now. I did it for you, baby. You can tell me what's coming. I won't be mad.
I will.
A little two-seamer.
Mad at yourself?
No, wasn't looking there. I was looking out over. There it is. I got the pitch. I felt comfortable as anybody. Felt like Mike Trout up there, to be honest with you. You guys are the best.
Unreal. That was just
so
great.
That's probably one of the best I've ever heard.
Yep.
Talking through it at a bat like that.
Talking to John about what you're looking for, and John says, "Are you mad at yourself for letting that go?" He says, "No, I'm not looking for that."
He said
tremendous.
He wasn't looking. He was looking out over.
Yep.
Wasn't looking in.
Yep.
And then he started laughing when he got the base hits. And I got my pitch. That's what I wanted.
That's what I wanted, baby.
I got the big dog. Oh, I hope we can get him back on the mic one day when I'm on. I'd love to hear some more.
Yeah.
You know, some guys over the years, we've mic'd up and we haven't really noticed. But boy, did he do a heck of a job with it. You got to have kind of the right personality, wants to do it.
And, you know, Jacob Stallings was great, too, by the way. We had Jacob Stallings. He was tremendous as he came to the plate. He's, you know, not as established as Frazier, so he didn't feel as comfortable coming to the plate. Frazier didn't care, talking about what he was looking for.
Yeah, I mean, that you're right. He's been around and done a lot of things, and so he was just like, hey, this is what I'm doing up here. You know, if I strike out, I strike out. Who cares? I'm doing my best. I'm going to let you guys know what I'm looking for.
At one point, Stallings kept the mic on, of course, when he was catching. And I forget who the runner was at first base, but he asked us, he goes, can that guy run?
Ah, there you go. Perfect. That is outstanding to have that kind of insight.
There's Brian Goodwin with 1 out. Second inning of Tommy Malone. At one point, John told, in fact, Stallings says, what do you think here? A little dribbler foul. So Rock says, bounce it. So sure enough, calls for the curveball, and sure enough, whoever was pitching bounces it. And it was great.
You know, if we could get the right pitcher, you know, that would be a lot of fun too. You know, that say, okay, you know, it looks to me like he's locked on my breaking ball. I can't throw another off-speed pitch. I got to stay fast. You know, to have somebody out there talking like that would be something. But it would have to be somebody that is very comfortable and kind of knows that, okay, you know, I'm going to be on the team. I'm out here getting my work in. You don't want to have somebody that's pitching for a job having to go through that. I don't know if we have an older pitcher that would be in that category yet. Maybe Cahill.
Yeah.
How old's Cahill? 34, 35? That neighborhood? Kind of about like Frazier?
He's 33. But yeah, I mean, track record, dozen years in the big leagues.
Right. Yeah, it would be nice to find a pitcher that'll do it.
Goodwin has worked the count full.
Umpire would be fun.
Yep.
Again, it's got to be the right guy. Have to have a sense of humor so we can have our comments. Now we're going to have pitching change, looks like.
Yeah.
That was pitch number 30, and Malone is done.
That is indeed it. Charlie Montoyo, manager of the Blue Jays, will get the baseball. A new pitcher will be coming on. The Pirates bat here in the bottom of the 4th. Pirates Charities has partnered with PNC Bank and the Grable Foundation to recognize all-star teachers in the area. Nominate a teacher you know who makes an impact in the classroom and beyond. Winners receive a $1,000 grant for classroom needs and much more. Go to pirates.com/all-star teachers. That's an all-star right there.
It's out there, left field area, the bleachers.
New pitcher is Hobie Harris. Facing Wilmer Defoe. Defoe flied to left his first time up. So we'll have a couple of coaches on headset a little bit later on. We'll talk to a Pirates pitching coach, Oscar Marine, in the bottom of the 5th inning. And we'll talk to assistant hitting coach Christian Marrero in the top of the 7th. This is a game that is scheduled to go 7.5 today. As Defoe lifts this one to shallow right. And Palacios with the catch. So the Pirates go down in order. And we move to the 5th inning. 1-0 Buccos. Here's today's Barrel Ford League leader stat. Grapefruit League team ERA leaders. Look, the Pirates here in the Sunshine State. Second behind only the Marlins in terms of league leaders.
Really good. She got me on that. Good when he in my legs. I'm coming back.
Behind the Marlins.
I was willing to give him to him. He might need him.
Been a kind of a pleasant surprise really this spring. You take a look at maybe not surprisingly that the defense has been so much better. We expected that, but you know, the relievers they've thrown out there have been pretty strong. Sean Poppin, after one rough outing, has now gone 2 scoreless relief appearances.
Yeah, the defense will even make the earn run averages better. I mean, they're not always scored errors, you know, plays that should have been made, double plays that should have been turned, you know, things like that will happen now. We are hoping, fingers crossed, and that'll help the earn run average. It's not just the unearned runs that you take off the board.
Danny Jansen at the plate, a 1-1 count. Sean Poppin was claimed off waivers from the Twins the 1st of October. Cole Tucker getting the start at shortstop today after the missing 10 games with a bruised thumb. Defense been solid, the infield and mostly the outfield. Veteran Brian Goodwin. Seen him make some nice plays. Anthony Alford made a spectacular catch yesterday into left center field, showing off an outstanding speed.
And we had a couple of games in a row last weekend where it was a couple of the most well-played games I've seen us have. You know, it was everything: the pitching, the hitting, the defense, the base running. I mean, it was all there. And it really kind of showing the capabilities of some of these players when they're at their best. You know, they can run the bases with skill and speed and make all the plays on defense. And you know, it's not all about just coming and hitting home runs every day. They can do the little things also that can help you win. And to be honest, especially on the defensive side, that's been missing for quite a while now. And the base running hasn't always been great either. But the defense, I think, has cost us wins in the past for sure. And this year, I think it'll actually be the opposite. I think we'll pick up a couple of wins because of a better defensive club.
Wilmer Defoe, utility man, getting the start at second base. Sean Poppin walks first man he faces here. Alford stood out. I mean, he hit a home run and then tracks this ball down.
I mean, he had to lay out to make that catch. And you know, he's a strong, well put together guy, and so he has great speed for his size and no fear, even after running in the wall last year and breaking his elbow and then missing basically the whole weird season. He laid out to make that play in a spring training game. Well, he knows that, that what's at stake for him.
Yeah, he needs to do things like that.
Yeah, he wants to be the everyday center fielder, and that's the kind of play that'll help him achieve that.
We saw on that clip Chase and Shreve, the pitcher, even salute his center fielder after he made that great catch. Oh, 2 count on Panic after Sean Poppin walked the first man he faced. Still 0-2. Jared Oliva finds a fan. '94 against Panic.
Yeah, got it upstairs, a little bit of a chase. You know, Greg, comparing this spring to last spring as we watched the replay on this strikeout of the high fastball, you get a feel that the talent pool in spring training is much deeper than it was last year. Now, I know that the situation has changed quite a bit.
Runner goes, and Perez, a quick tag applied. Nice work there from Wilmer Defoe.
Yeah, that was an outstanding tag. That ball bounced, didn't it?
Yeah.
Coming in there, he was able to pick it and get it in the dirt, or get the tag in the dirt.
Wish you could have seen Cole Tucker's reaction. I don't know if we'll see it on this replay, but Cole Tucker, he brings some energy as the tag. Well, let's see if Tucker, he he jumped up in the air. He's all fired up.
Helping the umpire with the call.
Yeah. As Perez.
It's a nice job because he was pretty spread out as he's catching that ball to get it down there that quick. But you know, maybe it's because you don't have all the minor league call-ups that are seeming to play from the 5th inning on every day. That makes a big difference. But it just seems like there's the caliber of player from the 1st inning to the 9th is or in this case 1st to the 7th is going to be a little bit better.
Another look at the shot, the tag out. Yes. Well done by Defoe. Well, I think, you know, actually, Bob, I think it starts with this defense. I think you just tell right away it's better. And I think that makes you feel like, and you know, there is more talent in this camp.
There's a lot of non-roster good talent. You know, that it's going to be interesting decisions as we move along here in spring.
Well, I see Perez tried to frame that, but called ball 4.
Well, Poppin had only walked one guy, I believe, before this inning. Now he's got 3.
Ben Cherington taking notes. Pirates general manager. He has made a bunch of moves since he came on board.
Pen and paper still works out sometimes.
Couldn't hold up on the breaking ball.
I know you go through a lot of ink.
Yes, I do. Yep.
See, I brought my own writing device today. I didn't have to bum one off you.
Thank you.
Went with the old mechanical pencil today.
A lot of blasts.
So you gave me one the other day, and I used to have those, and I'm like, I thought, wow, these are. I forgot how nice these were. So when I went through my granddaughter's stuff this morning, looking for something to write with, I took one of her mechanical pencils.
Does she know? Did you ask?
Yeah, I did ask, but then I said I'm going to keep it, you know.
And
she said, "Go ahead."
Well, truthfully, if truth be told, you're not going to keep it. You're going to lose it. Someone else will end up with it.
Probably.
Sorry to say.
I found a nice place to hide it though and keep it. So I'm going to put it in my.
Oh, that's a good idea.
The case that I hold my reading glasses
By
in.
the way, you don't give me that traveling roster that Danny Hart gave you. He gave you 2, 1 from me. Thank you.
You got it. Anything you need.
Very helpful.
Here to hand it to you.
Yep. Didn't see it till just now.
Been carrying you for almost 30 years.
Yeah. To shallow right, and it drops in front of Oliva, who's going to fire toward third, but into third base after the base hit by Palacios.
That was kind of a risky move, I thought, with 2 outs. But he made it easy. I mean, a 1-hopper to the right fielder, and not even deep right field. I think he caught all of us napping.
Yeah.
Now watch that replay.
Looked up and was surprised.
Yeah, he looked up and oh, there's a guy going to third.
That's Espinal into third.
It was closer than I thought too. Which tells you if the throw would have been let go at a sooner time, they probably would have had the out. You can't, take the snap and then read the defense. You got to get rid of the ball.
And now Perez, as the runner from first took off, Palacios then put on the brakes. And the Pirates catcher threw behind him. He gets back to first.
Now, he didn't throw immediately either, but he was kind of concerned with the guy down at third a little bit. Anytime you have a runner at third, you can't just be firing the ball all over. You got to check him a little, make sure that he's not going anywhere.
Two balls and 1 strike the count now. Bucks getting an unearned run in the first inning. And now the Toronto Blue Jays with runners at the corners. Here in the top of the 5th, we'll talk to Oscar Marine, the Pirates pitching coach, in the bottom half of this inning. There's a strike to Tyler White from Sean Poppin, the Harvard grad, who is on the 40-man roster after the Pirates claimed him off waivers from the Twins. He's pitched in 10 big league games, parts of the last 2 seasons with Minnesota. Two and two, 2 outs, couple of men on. Chase DeYoung, 3 innings. And then scoreless for Stratton. And now Conference on the mound.
Quick conference. They're done.
Two and two. Sean Poppin. From Virginia Beach. Could not get a chase. Recent Harvard pitchers, you think about Brent Suter, the Brewers. Pirates had one briefly in 2018. Tanner Anderson was a Harvard product. And a pop up to center. And Fowler makes the catch. We'll talk to Oscar Marine about the pitchers he has seen this spring. 1-0. And we move to the bottom of the 5th inning of this game that is scheduled to go 7.5. And as promised, with the Pirates leading 1-0, we're talking to Pirates pitching coach Oscar Marine. He's on the headset down below the dugout. And Oscar, we were talking about some of the talented arms that we've seen this spring. You have to be extremely pleased through now 12 games of what you've seen.
No, absolutely. Just like you guys said, the talented arms that we have in camp right now, and some of the things we've been able to talk to these guys about, and just to go out there and see them perform has been awesome so far.
Hey, Oscar, it's going to be kind of a tough year to monitor innings pitched, I would think. How are you guys going to go about doing that, knowing that nobody really pitched a whole lot last year? And are there any red flags you'll be looking for that tells you, hey, this guy needs to be shut down for a little bit?
I think it's going to be more so just monitoring the innings, monitoring what type of workloads they're going to have early. We're going to be keeping pitches in mind. We're going to keep innings in mind. I think just monitoring and talking and communicating with our guys and seeing how they feel. Obviously, if we go 162, they pitch every 5 days. That's a lot of innings kind of built up. So when it's time, I think we'll talk as a group and be able to make those decisions and, be able to break it up when we need to.
Looks like you guys are building a lot of starting pitching depth. I mean, everybody tries to do that, of course, but the recent signing of Cahill and DeYoung pitching so well today in the starting role, 3 innings, look great. I'm assuming, looking long range, you guys think you're going to need a lot of starting pitching.
Yeah, I mean, we got to give ourselves options to prepare for the season. Obviously with the innings totals we had this past year, somebody going from 40 to 50 innings and then trying to build up to 200 is probably not going to be the case. So we have to just get our guys ready and prepare for that.
Who are you getting help? I'm sorry. Oscar, I'm sorry. Who's helping you? Your assistant? Is that message?
Yeah, it's part of my 2-headed monster that we have in our pitching department. He's trying to feed me here. I'm looking a little parched. So he's helping me out and making sure I'm okay.
I mean, my gosh, you can't thank a guy enough, can you?
Oh, yeah.
What a guy. Look at this.
Absolutely.
What's he offering there?
Always taking care of me. Little gum, little granola bar,
Yeah. You need anything on the bill of your cap? You got some extra seeds. It's really nice. There you go.
He felt like I was a little dehydrated yesterday, so he's helped me out. Today, just making sure we're all right. But talking about like just the pitching department itself, and just having someone like Mess to be able to help out. Obviously with his history here with the organization and knowing some of these guys. It's been great being able to collaborate together and figure out what we need to figure out for our guys to get better.
How different is this spring for you, Oscar? Last year, your first spring as a major league pitching coach. What about this spring?
I think there were some relationships built already. So I think those relationships built with players, with staff, and now flowing into the new players coming in has really been helpful to help relay our messages and what we're trying to do now.
Oscar, we talked about this a little bit on our weekly visits last year about how the pitching coach job has really changed over the years. There's a strike 3 pitch, but it's not a solo job anymore. You're the leader of a team, correct?
Absolutely, leader of the pitching team, and that pitching team is not only just obviously the pitching coaches, but it's our informatics team, it's our trainers, it's our strength coaches. We even lean on the hitting coaches to be able to help us out when it comes to, are we tipping or not? What are some of the things that we can help our guys, whether it's deception, hiding our pitches and whatnot. So it's just a collaboration between all of us to be able to help our players out in the field.
A couple of strikeouts so far. David Phelps, who now makes his home in Pittsburgh, on the mound for the Blue Jays, facing Rodolfo Castro. Oscar Marin, kind enough to join us. He's on the headset downstairs. Oscar, we got a chance to see one of the players that was acquired in some of the deals that were made this past offseason. We saw yesterday one of them for the first time make his Pirates debut. And just want to ask you what you thought of Roncy Contreras. It was impressive.
That's electric stuff, guys. I mean, absolutely electric stuff of what we saw yesterday. And to at least, what are we going? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, he dropped the ball.
Let's go. Let's go.
We're going to have a Little League home run, maybe.
There it is.
Yes. A Little League home run
and
for Rodolfo Castro as the ball was dropped and left.
That's a lot of fun to watch. I mean, he could sense it going around second. He knew that the left fielder had no idea that he had been called safe, and he just turned it on. I mean, that's the enthusiasm we've been seeing all spring training from all the players. Now, right there, the ball's dropped. The umpire is saying safe, but he thinks he's already got the out.
Here's Dustin Fowler. So, Oscar, you said that's electric stuff we saw yesterday from Juancy Contreras.
I mean, absolutely. It's one of those things where I think he hit his emotions pretty well. When he came in after his outing, I said, "How'd it go?" He goes, "I said the first 2 outs I remembered. After that, I'm kind of trying to remember now." But he did a great job. You know, first outing, just using his stuff. You know, he's used his fastball, mixed in his breaking ball when he needed to, and it's just going to be exciting to see part of his development and getting these, you know, obviously some work in this year to hopefully see him in the future with us.
Now he looks a little unpolished. What are some of the what is like maybe the one thing you start with him as far as what he needs to do better?
I think for him it's just getting those reps, getting those consistent reps of being able to, you know, repeat his delivery, being able to repeat in the strike zone to the locations that he wants. You know, as of right now, you know, he's in the zone, out stuffing guys, which, hey, you got to do what you got to do sometimes. But as you keep refining things, being able to go to the areas that you want to go to with your pitches becomes really important.
Is he looking for him to create consistency, obviously, that to really be at this level a star type pitcher, even with that great stuff?
Yes, sir.
Well, they thought they had gotten a call there.
Good eye by Fowler. I thought that they got a good pitch there also. Looking at it as a pitcher all the time, even when the other team's out there throwing it.
A 4-base error there.
We can't help ourselves.
Allowing the Pirates to take a 2-0 lead.
No, I'm like, wow, that looked like a strike.
Now this is popped up and looking as though it'll be the last out.
Maybe,
and
son.
Yes, we thank Oscar Marine for joining us. Oscar, thanks so much. Look forward to talking to you down the road.
Keep those guys going. So far, so good this spring, man. It's awesome to watch.
No, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
A 2-0 ball game in favor of the Pirates. Go to the 6th inning in this scheduled 6.5 inning spring training ball game from Bradenton, Florida. Pirates leading it 2-0. Pirates fans suit up for a brand new season at MLBshop.com. Check out new 2021 gear and shop the largest selection of official caps, t-shirts, hoodies, collectibles, and more. Gear up with the Pirates at MLBshop.com.
Because he turned.
Here's Edgar Santana.
Got a few new players out there.
Third outing of the spring for Edgar Santana, who's looking to come back after missing a year with an injury and then going on the suspended list. Had Tommy John surgery.
You would think he'd definitely be a guy that they monitor closely as far as his innings pitched. They'll have something marked down somewhere, what they want him to end up with.
Austin Martin, the new center fielder, is now at the plate for Toronto.
Well, I can't believe it's the same rules for everybody, though. I mean, the type of pitcher you are, your age, all that stuff's going to come into play when they make these judgments of how many pitches they're going to allow you to throw this year, how many innings they're going to allow you to pitch.
Edgar Santana had an outstanding rookie campaign, 2018. Third among all National League rookies in appearances. Appeared in 69 games as a rookie, finished with a .326 ERA. And he was an excellent multi-inning guy as well. He actually got better when he pitched more than an inning.
He was very valuable around that 6th inning part of the game.
95. Strikes out Austin Martin. Edgar Santana, 29-year-old from the Dominican Republic.
Here it is. He whips that baseball in there at 95. The thing about Santana back in 2018 was that slider was so good of his.
Gurriel has fouled out and flied to center. A 4-base error a moment ago for Gurriel, and there's that slider Bob talked about.
I always get surprised at how players can become nonchalant during a ball game. Like Gurriel, when he dropped that ball, he had to think, well, you know, did they call it a catch?
Yeah.
I better make sure. But he was totally oblivious to the fact that they did not call that a catch. He was not in any hurry to go pick up the ball.
Oh, strikeout looking. Swinging and looking now for Edgar Santana. Of course, if you're on the other end, the guy that hit the ball, Rodolfo Castro, young player. We use the word impress a lot today. That's something a young player is looking to do.
Run
Didn't
and
stop.
Run until you the umpire has his fist in the air.
O'Neill Cruz has taken over at short. Nick Gonzalez at second for the Pirates. Wilmer Defoe has moved to center. And high throw. So just as Castro is trying to impress with his legs at the plate, this time not so impressive. The throw.
Yeah, there's a little traffic jam there that it caused the problem. They're going to talk it over right now.
That's O'Neill Cruz.
See, now I think this is Castro's ball because he's going right toward first base.
Yeah, and he swung over that way.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about, you know, when you have all the shifts nowadays and guys are making plays in areas of the field that are a little uncommon. The third baseman making a play coming across the second base bag, that doesn't happen all the time. So, you know, through repetition, eventually you get that stuff all ironed out. But there has to be a lot of communication during that point. I mean, Castro had to be calling it like it's a pop fly the whole way to make sure that the big guy doesn't step in front of him.
It's an E5 on Castro. That does allow us to see this matchup here. Edgar Santana against Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Richard Urena pinch running for Tellez at first. And now the count swings to Guerrero's favor. Just 22 years old, facing Edgar Santana. Guerrero 5 for 11 this spring, hit 9 homers with 33 RBIs last year. Tremendous power, son of the Hall of Famer Vladimir Guerrero Sr. Looks like he's dropped a few pounds. And gets it in the air to left. Goodwin will put it away. Edgar Santana works around that error.
And more good pitching, good defense.
2-0. Now 2-0 lead here in Bradenton.
Only giving up 2 base hits today. Bunch of zeros across the board. That spring training ERA continue to drop.
Colin Moran done for the day. Heads toward the clubhouse, the McKechnie clubhouse here at Lecom Park. And here's a veteran, Tyler Chatwood, signed as a free agent by the Toronto Blue Jays, a 1-year deal after spending the previous 3 seasons with the Cubs. The longtime Rocky.
And he'll face the big tall shortstop, O'Neill Cruz. Not having a strong spring with the bat, but still every at bat that he has, I love watching.
Chatwood will make the play.
He has so much promise for the future.
And you like this guy too, I know. Troy Stokes Jr.
Oh, this guy has had some great at bats this spring. It really has hit the ball extremely hard. He's not the biggest guy in camp, but I mean that ball jumps off his bat.
One-time draft pick of the Brewers. He's got some pop and he's got some speed. His minor league career, he's stolen 129 bases, caught 30 times.
You see him standing up there, and you know, comparing the the catcher and the umpire. He's not a very big guy, but it's really surprising when you see him swing the bat and how he can drive the ball. Now that's when he hits just basically straight up.
Oh.
And it's not caught.
Forgettable glove day for these.
Yeah, the Blue Jays having a hard time with the balls in the air.
Richard Urena, the new first baseman.
I think Birds would be good at that, but not today. So Troy will get another swing. There you can see he's not all that big, but pitchers better not take him lightly.
And not small, by the way. He's
not. He's
well built.
He's well built. I say he's not very tall.
Yeah. 96 there from Chatwood, 2-2.
I mean, the first game I saw him play in, I thought, okay, I see him walk up there, and he's just not a real tall guy. And then I saw him hit a couple of balls, and they were both of them real hard. And then the other day, I can't remember what ballpark it was. He hit a ball way over the fence.
Grounded to short and retired.
But yeah, he's caught my eye. I don't know what kind of defensive player he is in the outfield, but he can hit.
Joe Hudson, who's a catcher in camp and has some big league playing time, is now pinch hitting for the designated hitter Todd Frazier against Chatwood. Reese McGuire, the new catcher for the Blue Jays. We're going to chat with the new assistant hitting coach, Christian Marrero, in the top of the 7th. Hudson hit a home run the other day. Limited playing time. Two and one. Pirates scoring an unearned run in the first. A leadoff walk to Dustin Fowler, who stole second. Went to third on a throwing error by then catcher Danny Jansen. Scored on an errant pickoff try by the pitcher Thomas Hatch. And then Rodolfo Castro came all the way around to score when his fly ball was dropped by Lourdes Gurriel in left field last inning. That's been it. Joe Hudson, time in the big leagues with the Angels, Cardinals, and Mariners. And into center field for a base hit.
A little breaking ball that was up. Able to get it out there to get our second hit of the day. I didn't realize when I was talking about the visitors, the Blue Jays only having 2 hits, that we had only had 1.
Yeah.
But we got 2 runs, and that's the main thing.
Here's Brian Goodwin. He gets his third at bat, couple of strikeouts. Chatwood is the 5th pitcher for Toronto today. The Pirates have used 4. Off his foot. Bucks will travel to Tampa for the second time in 3 days. Take on the Yankees tomorrow afternoon. That'll be on the radio side. We're back here on AT&T Sportsnet Sunday afternoon against the Phillies.
Do it.
And it's pulled foul.
Hoop.
Stephen Brault will start on Sunday. Tomorrow in Tampa, it's JT Brubaker. Today it was Chase DeYoung, non-roster invitee, who was impressive for
He's
the
looked
Bucks.
as good as anybody all year.
Yeah. 3 innings, 1 hit ball.
And it wasn't just his stat line either. The command that he showed out there, the pretty good velocity, up to 94 many times. A lot to like about his outing.
Today the Pirates announcing that they have also signed free agent pitcher Trevor Cahill to a 1-year contract. 33-year-old with the Giants last year. 25 innings, opponents hit just 184 against him last season. .325 career appearances, 225 starts for Trevor Cahill as Goodwin hits this in the air to center. And the catch made by Martin. So we come back, we're going to talk to assistant hitting coach Christian Marrero. Pirates still leading 2-0. It is a 2-0 Pirates lead here going to the 7th inning. Greg Brown, Bob Walk with you here in the broadcast booth at Lecom Park, watching the Pirates lead the Blue Jays. And as we mentioned, we are joined, and we thank Christian Marrero, the new assistant hitting coach for the Pirates, and a one-time Pirate minor league player in the organization a few years ago. Christian, thanks so much for being with us. We chatted with hitting coach Rick Eckstein recently on a telecast, and he talked about how you two guys just seem to be just right on the same page immediately. What is it about your philosophies, you two?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. No, we just stay in constant communication. You know, we have a plan for each guy, and we're just trying to stick to that plan and get everybody better. But we're just stay on the same page, constantly communicating and making sure we're having the same same language with the guys.
Christian Marrero on the headset with us, and the new Pirates pitcher we'll talk about in a moment with Reese McGuire coming to the plate. Christian spent last 3 years in the Phillies system. How tough is it to come into camp, a new organization, and try and get to know all these players all at once? Is that difficult?
You know, once I was offered the position, I got into looking at video, watching the guys on the team and looking at their swings, and you know, talked with Rick. But it's been fun. You know, the staff here is awesome, and they've made that transition really easy.
You know what? One of the guys. Well, wait. This play is over. Looks like it's going to be a double. One of the guys that we've talked about a lot today is Cole Tucker, because he's been hurt. We haven't seen him for about 10 days. And he was going to be definitely in the hunt for the shortstop job this year. So he's kind of behind the 8 ball. Now today he's come out here in his first action in a long time and hit the ball very well with some authority. What are some of the things that you guys are trying to do with him this year to get the ball off his bat with a little more authority? Because last year his exit velocities weren't all that great.
Yeah, you know, he looked good today. He's been putting in the work there in the cages in the back, but we're just trying to get him into a better position to put off the swing. You know, he's a strong kid and has a tremendous ability, but he's coming in, day out, putting in the work, and it's showing off right now.
So it's just not necessarily the strength. It's how these guys prepare their swing and get into the right spot to use that strength to the contact. And that's, I guess, what you're trying to say is has been missing with him, that not in that hitting position.
Yeah, you know, just talking with Rick, you know, he's put a plan for him. You know, we're making sure he's coming in, getting his routine and getting his work in, but you know, he's working real hard. Like I said, he's coming in, putting in the work, and it's showing off, paying off.
You guys have to deal with, I don't know the exact number, it's a little over 35, I think, hitters in camp. This is going to be a sac fly, it looks like, going to score pretty easily. And the Blue Jays do get on the board for the first time today. But with all those guys in camp, how do you juggle time in the cage? I mean, that's got to be really difficult for you guys to get everybody what they think that they need on a daily basis with all of these hitters.
Yeah, the great thing is that everybody here, the staff-wise, we have guys that are in there constantly. You know, main thing is that we're on the same page with each guy. And you know, like I said, the staff here has been awesome. We got guys here that have been helping out, and you know, I'm really happy where the guys are at right now.
Christian, you played about a dozen years of professional baseball, a number of different cities, a number of different teams, a number of different organizations. Is there a manager or a coach, a couple, that kind of stand out for you as you played, and maybe who you think about in terms of your philosophy? Who helped you along the way?
You know, there's been a couple great coaches there, but you know, as a player, you know, you always go back to that one person that's always been there since day one. You know, that's been, I usually go back to, you know, asking my dad or my brother, but you know, like I said here, the staff, like, is awesome. The transition from coming from another organization here has been easy, and I'm expecting a lot of good things here.
Christian, thanks so much for joining us. We most appreciate it, and welcome to the Buccos.
Thank you, Mike.
Welcome back, I should say.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys. Appreciate everything.
Back here to our AT&T Sportsnet studios here on the North Shore. I'm Robbie Mikowski, pleased to be joined by a man who hit the ball pretty hard today and has beautiful hair, Cole Tucker, the big Phoenix Suns fan that he is. Cole, what led to the day today? Solid contact for you. Solid contact for you today. What do you attribute that to, and why did things go well in your first game back in a week?
Yeah, it was good to be back out there for sure. Good to see you too. But I don't know. I was going into today like this could go really good, or I could be really off time just because it's been so long since I played, dealing with the hand thing. But I've really just been focusing on my visualization and my timing and trying to simulate game-like stuff in the cage and on the backfields while I've been trying to get back. And it showed up today, and it was really fun.
You know, Cole, it's hard for anybody competing for a spot on the roster, for a starting spot like you are right now at the shortstop position, to miss time during camp. How difficult is that, and how do you get yourself ready to pick up where you left off?
Yeah, totally. I mean, just show up like I did today. You know, I feel really good about how I showed today coming back. But yeah, you know, I was freaking out. I was like, well, spring training's kind of going, and I'm not playing, and this ain't it. But it was really good to get back out there and have a good showing. And I've been working my butt off to get back, and everyone knows that. But it is cool when it shows up, and it's a good day where you're smacking the ball over the place. So I feel good about it, and just trying to carry it over to tomorrow and whenever I get back out there again.
You know, Cole, it's been a crazy journey the past year for you. The first time you ever played outfield was in the big leagues. That's not easy to do. And now you're transitioning back into the infield. How do you describe what that's been like for you?
Yeah, it's a roller coaster, you know. Last year, this time I was playing shortstop, and then in spring 2.0, I was playing outfield and all last year, and then this year I haven't really done anything in the outfield in camp. So it feels really good to be back where I'm most comfortable, you know, where I got drafted at, where I've spent most of my professional career, and just trying to get back to the basics and get back to the fundamentals of what it takes to be a big league infielder. And it's been really fun. It feels like you're like a homecoming, you know.
Yeah, Cole, and the one thing that was interesting today, the hustle double for you. How much are you working with Tarek Brock? It's a hustle double that you had, okay? So you make your way in. It's not a gap shot. You make your way into second base. How do you describe your level of aggressiveness on the base pass here in 2021?
Yeah, it's no secret. I love to run, and I'm fast. You know, the game changes and stolen bases attempts aren't as high as they used to be, but there's no excuse to not be able to make an impact with our legs. You know, we have a really young, fast, athletic team, and we want that to show up. You know, taking extra 90s, taking hustle doubles, advancing the base when the opposition isn't really expecting it, and I did that today, and that was cool, especially after being on the shelf for a little bit. So I feel really good about it. And Tarek's awesome, and he pushes us to be aggressive and to be on the attack, as he says, so, and to play with a lot of energy. So I'm just going to try to continue to do that.
How might it affect, do you think, a team? We talked about the pitcher aspect, but from a position player, having a full spring training, knowing you're going to play a full 162 as the last year, camp, a gap, a short camp, and then 60.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It feels like real life again, you know, as the country and as our world gets back to normal, or we're trying to get back to normal. So is baseball, you know. We're doing all we can to make sure that this camp goes well, adhering to the protocols, and that the 162 goes well too. You know, we want to play as much as we can, play as many games as we can, play as long as we can, and we're just trying to be safe and smart throughout this whole thing, and to listen to what Todd has to say so we don't get in trouble and we don't miss any time, you know.
Todd Tomczyk is who you're referring to, the guy who oversees the medical protocols along with Tony Leo here for the Pirates. Cole, when you look at between now and opening day, what's your focus on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, just continue to get my work in. You know, spring training is all about preparing for the season, whether you're competing for a job or whatever. Regardless, like you're just going out and practicing every day and trying to be as ready as you can for opening day. That's what we're all here for. But once the lights come on, you know, I just want to continue to be able to hit the ball hard and make the routine play at shortstop and have earn Shelty's trust out there. You know, last year I played outfield the whole time, so Ben and Shelty and all these people haven't really seen me play shortstop, but I played shortstop pretty well in 19, so I'm just looking forward to getting back to that and continue to do the little things every day to help me be a better player and help us be a better team.
How about your favorite basketball team, one of the best teams in the NBA, the Phoenix Suns? What do you think?
Whoa. Ballin'. Second best record in the league. I feel bad. I wish Pittsburgh had a hoops team, but the Suns are doing it. Devin Booker, Chris Paul, those guys. I'm a homer, and everyone in the clubhouse is hearing about it. I won't shut up about them. They won last night. The game started at like 10 Eastern time, so I missed it. I was already asleep, but I woke up in the middle of the night to check the score just to make sure everything went all right, and it did. And we got the Pacers tomorrow, so Let's go Suns.
Cole Tucker, diehard Phoenix Suns fan. Thanks, buddy. Good to see you.
You know, good to see you, Robbie.
All right, there you go, Greg and Bob. How about that? Big Phoenix Suns fan, Cole Tucker, repping his hometown.
I'll tell you, he doesn't lack personality, does he? He's something else. It's, Will Craig fouls it back out of play. Easy to root for Cole Tucker.
I don't think that things couldn't have gone better for him in today's, little comeback out here. He looked great. I mean, the one thing that you want to see from him from this camp is and I think Christian talked about it. He's a big, strong guy. He needs a little bit better exit velocity. That was missing last season, and both of his bats today. I mean, even the foul balls he was hitting them extremely hard. Exit velocity is over 100 miles an hour. If you could ask him to do something, that's what you're asking him, and he showed it today. First day back from missing 10 days, and the hustle, out there on the bases, with him, that's always going to be there. And that was fun to watch him take two on a ball that most guys will just get a single on.
Will Craig, who had a home run yesterday, is hit by a pitch, brings up Nick Gonzalez, last year's first-round pick. Thank you, Robbie, for that chat with Cole Tucker. As you said, easy to root for. Well, look at those. Talk about the hair, as Robbie mentioned. Cole Tucker, Kirby Snead has the good flowing locks. Snead, the distinction of throwing the last pitch in all of baseball before everyone paused for COVID. It was here last year. He struck out the Pirates' Andrew Susac for the final out of that game, March the 12th, 2020. Ironic that he's on the mound here as the Pirates play the Blue Jays. But feeling better about things. We're here, and it's great to be here. Great to be on site. And great to see fans starting to come back. And fans will be allowed back in the ballpark at PNC Park 4 weeks from yesterday.
There's another one of those young players I think everybody should be anxious to play and see as much as they can.
Yep, Nick Gonzalez.
You're looking for for the building blocks for the future, and certainly could be one of those.
Mm-hmm. Two on, two outs. Nick Gonzalez, Pirates' first-round pick in last year's draft. Just 4 spring training at bats with a walk and 3 strikeouts. He is 21 years old, like Cole Tucker, Arizona native, New Mexico State product. And bounce towards second. And that'll do it. And we head to the last inning. Pirates leading 2-1. And the Penguins look to make it 5 wins in a row as they visit the Buffalo Sabres. Our coverage starts at 6 p.m. with a special 1-hour Penguins pregame show right here on AT&T Sportsnet. The last inning as James Marvel takes over on the mound for the Bucks.
1-run lead.
Leonardo Jimenez will pinch hit. Third outing of the spring for Marvel.
Wins down here certainly don't mean anything, but isn't it better than last year?
It's better than winning only what, 3 all spring.
Yeah, the all spring. That was kind of tough.
And we always say, you know, wins are meaningless in spring training
until you win.
Well, but also, if in anything you do, you'd rather win than lose.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
when we started, when we really hit it hard, that wins are meaningless. It's usually because we're not winning very many. But honestly, that is the truth. I mean, and more this year than in the past, because you know, you have the rollover innings where you don't even have to get 3 outs. There's been games that's called, you know, just after 5 innings. So yeah, it's this year more than ever. It's about getting the guys in shape, keeping them healthy, and being ready for opening day.
I guess on the other side too, Bob, if you're, you know, these players all see, they read, they hear what the pundits are predicting, you know, the Vegas line for the Pirates. What a tough season could be, wins and losses. If you pile up a bunch of losses in spring training, it only discourages you.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, you know, you win some ball games in spring, you know, get some good competition, makes you feel like, you know what, if we play the game right, play it smart, pitch well, catch it, we could win our share, maybe surprise some people in terms of the number of wins they're predicting. Gain confidence. And as you said, and I think we'll talk a lot about it during the course of the season, the main thing is to watch some of these individual performances. Watch the players that will be part of a winning future, like an O'Neill Cruz, for example. Nick Gonzalez, who just was the middleman.
You know, also I think what it does, Greg, wins, and not necessarily just in spring training, but even during the season, it makes the players think more about team stuff than individual stuff. You start piling up a lot of losses, the players start thinking more about themselves, about, you know, their careers and what they need to do to stay around and that sort of thing. Where you start getting some wins piled up, even in spring training, that's when team goals start to take the forefront, and that's a big difference. You know, when you're looking at how a team's going to play throughout the year. Now, there's something to be said about guys playing for themselves, everybody trying to hit 350. That's great. Yeah. But there's some team stuff that you have to play for. And you're not going to get that on teams that have a bad losing record. I've been there. I've been on teams that have lost 100. I know what the talk is in the clubhouse, especially with some of the veterans. It's not good. It's like, where are we going to be next year? That sort of thing. Everybody's worrying about themselves. Mm-hmm. So wins change that perception, and everybody starts thinking about how the team is doing, not necessarily themselves. That's what you want.
3-1 the count on Forrest Wall. James Marvel gets him to foul this pitch back out of play, and Marvel looks for the final out of this ball game. And the Pirates will move to 7-4-1 on the Grapefruit League schedule. Heading to Tampa to take on the Yankees tomorrow, back home and back on the TV side here Sunday against the Phillies. And a pop-up. Well, this could be a well-pitched game. Nick Gonzalez makes the catch. And the Buccos win it 2-1. Chase DeYoung, Chris Stratton, Sean Poppin, Edgar Santana, Nick Mears, and James Marvel. And we'll wrap things up from Bradenton, Florida. Right after this, we're coming right back.